So we're going to take a look at two different types of components, a stateful component and a stateless component. And we've been looking at right now at components that could be stateful. They're not stateful just yet, but they're full classes. They extend a component. They have their constructor, and they are fully capable of maintaining their own state. Right? They can see changes in their values of their own properties, right, and react in the as an adapt to changes in the state and display different things depending on that state. But there's another type of component which are referred to as stateless components, meaning components that are not responsible for maintaining their state. They're only meant for displaying data, right? But they don't remember anything from one use to the next, right? They're meant to be used by stateless components above them that provide the state to them, and then they just render the data. All right. So for instance, our course list maintains the list of courses, but each row only has to remember about the course that is that it's passed on. I can pass it the course and say, hey, render this course. Right, but it doesn't know about all the other courses. It knows just all by itself, so it doesn't maintain any state other than what it renders. Okay, whereas the course editor or the course list or the course grid maintains, the entire list of all the courses. Right, so there's different levels of granularity, and as much as possible, we should always try to be as stateless as possible. Right, only when we have no choice should we then revert to a stateful component. Right? So stateless components are built using just a plain function. Right? And now the function that we're going to be using, the style of function that we're going to be using are ES6 style functions. Right? ES6 style functions have a slightly different syntax. Right? They use the arrow syntax where you have the name of the function on the left-hand side, and then a parameter list on the right-hand side, and then an arrow with the implementation. Right, this is the style that we're going to be looking. This is the modern version of JavaScript. So let's implement a stateless component here under stateless. So let's create here a little component and call it stateless. And still, we need to import React. We always need React. And let's import this. So this is declaring a straightforward function. That's all it is. It's a function, and it has nowhere to put a variable that it could remember any of its state. Right? It's a one-shot deal. Whatever you pass it, it'll just render that, and then it won't be able to remember anything if it can't handle any state changes internally. Right? Any state changes would have to be handled by any parent. Right? And also here, it's also using the syntax of extracting an attribute from some JSON object that is being passed. So presumably we are passing here a JSON object which has an attribute called message. Right? Here we're extracting that and binding its value to a local variable. So that I can then use it as in a local variable called message and then render its message. All right. So again, a couple of syntax changes here, but not too complicated. Let's see how we can use this in our render function. All right. So here in our index, in our whiteboard, let's make use of this stateless here. It didn't load it. Let me see. So stateless. There we go. Now it loaded it. There we go. So let's see how it renders here. Stateless h1. Hello world 3. Life is good. There's the message. Where are you? Oh, there we go. Sorry. Hello World 3, there it is, right? So hello world. I guess this is better a stateless world. Does that mean anything? So yeah, so it's very simple, right? It's much easier. Notice that the syntax is slightly simpler. Notice there's no constructor. It only has a return. It only has a return, and it could be even simpler. Right? It could be even simpler if we use some of the new features of JavaScript. JavaScript ES6 is that if the only thing you are if this is the only thing in the line of code that you have here, you don't even need a return. Right? It's implied, right? That's all you need. You don't even need the curly brackets. Right? So this basically says that this function just evaluates to this value. Right? If you call that function, that's all it evaluates to, right? And it just renders just the same. Make sense? Right? So perhaps a lot of the components that you're going to be building for this assignment, it'll be as simple as just grabbing your HTML and wrapping it around a stateless component, right? Right. So it'll be as simple as just grabbing your HTML that you have and putting React, import React, and then a function name on top of it, and boom, you're done, right? You've wrapped it inside of a stateless component. Now, if it needs state, then no, it's a little there's a lot more work that you have to do, right? You have to put a class, and you have to put a constructor, and you might need to have a render function in there and return. Yes? So it depends. It depends how complex your components are. Okay? All right.